first half, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, could be Wayne!
I think I got my swagger back. Oh!
I love it, baby!
Them orange britches. Something about them orange britches.
Tennessee wins! By Tennessee, Jawan Jennings. Jennings makes the catch.
Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre. And Tennessee can say hello win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
We just won a basketball game, and we're very happy right now. McGrath for the win. He got it. If you don't like college football and you watch this one, I'm not sure what your problem is.
Reddit did to do, and welcome into More Important Issues. It is Thursday, December 12th, or if you're listening tomorrow, it's December 13th. It's Friday. Oh, didn't realize we had one of those.
Whoa.
Interesting. Something to look out for. Stay on your toes tomorrow or today. You too, Landon, not just the listeners.
I was trying to think of what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm getting a little beard trim, got a rehearsal dinner, so I don't know. I will be on my toes now that you say that. Appreciate the warning.
Yeah, you should be. Where are you getting the beard trim at?
Loyals. No free ads, but yeah.
No free ads, but Loyals is awesome. It rocks.
Yeah.
I was gonna go there this weekend too, but I haven't even one of those. You know, it's been one of those weeks. I haven't really had time to look at anything, so I didn't even try to make an appointment. I need to get back in there and get the beard shaped up now that it's mustache season's over. For now,
Until like you going to like March Madness,
ooh, maybe
Mustache Madness.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? We'll see. It's something else to stay on your toes for now.
Or a little Omustache, maybe like in the summertime.
We could do both if we needed to. We can keep racking it up. Yeah, why not?
Ideas, guys.
Yeah. Guys, you know what? We're here. We're going to talk college football playoff. We're going to talk Tennessee, Ohio State, transfer portal season. Everybody's in. All Marshall. Is that true? Is that story true?
All of Marshall?
Their entire team enter the transfer portal? I haven't looked to confirm.
I don't know.
Joey, can you check that? Just do a quick Google search. So their coach got fired, I think. And the rumor was everyone left, which kind of rocks. That if you hate the transfer portal, you have to at least kind of think it's funny after that, at least.
Well, at least he's going to get a ton of recognition, the new guy, because, I mean, his whole team's going to be the portal. We thought Colorado was going to have the most. No, it's going to be Marshall.
Yeah, it's like Matthew McConaughey in that movie.
Yeah.
He's going to be begging the NCAA to let seniors in high school play just to get a team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that rocks. I'm going to honestly, I obviously know some of the prominent names today. I don't know of everyone that's entered. So, I won't look it up. I want you to surprise me. Instant reaction. I know some of them, but I know for a fact there's no way I know all of them. I haven't had a chance to look. We'll also talk some basketball. 9-0. Can't get any better than that.
Feels good.
Here's a crazy thing before I forget later on. This is the third team in a row that Tennessee will play that also wears orange. Fourth team, if you count. I don't know what UT Martin's primary color is. I think it's blue.
There's orange in it.
They have orange. So fourth team in a row.
Okay.
And if that stupid Baylor game isn't in there, it would have been the fifth game in a row.
Big orange guy. Speaking of Virginia, I think they're losing to Bethune-Cookman.
Okay. That's not good.
Yeah, in the second half. So Yeah, maybe not a great win, but hey, you have to play the schedule. You're undefeated. You're number one.
When you're not a no, you're not a no.
Yeah,
Well, you can't cherry pick these now.
Joey said 25 players from Marshall have entered.
That's not that many.
Yeah, Mississippi State has a lot too, and I think Arkansas has a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it, but at the same time, with no coach movement, that's interesting. You would have thought it would take that. We will we'll talk basketball. Tennessee takes on Illinois. They are the number one ranked.
Arkansas is 26. Just throw that out there.
Illinois beat Arkansas earlier in the year. I know we're talking about this later, but I did not realize that till I knew this was a quality team. Really the only one Tennessee will face until playing Arkansas to start SEC play. But I didn't know that they had beat Arkansas. I didn't realize they had beat Arkansas earlier in the year. So that's of note.
Yeah.
Of
26 players from Arkansas's football team in the portal.
That really makes that loss hurt more. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, let's talk the road.
Talk the road?
The playoff road?
The playoff road. So we talked about this obviously in our home and home. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. Chase Thomas of the Chase Thomas podcast. If you've been following along, you know we've been hopping on there every week. We are continuing our collaboration with Chase. We are just going to also have it on our platform every other week. And then the quote unquote off week of our platform, we're just going to hit. So it's not an off week. No weeks off. No days off.
Correct.
Make sure you're checking those out, following along. We're excited to continue talking college football, playoff football, and then also, basketball season is here, and by the time Tennessee gets done playing, it'll really be here. Mm-hmm. So, and then baseball. Baseball's what's the countdown? Do you have the countdown?
I don't, but they just released their schedule today.
Well, we knew the
conference.
We knew the start date, right?
Yeah, we just didn't know the. I can just do a little Google search real quick.
Is there a way to disable the Google AI assistant?
I don't know. You sick of it?
I feel like it just gets a lot of things not right. February 14th, Valentine's Day.
That's when they start?
Yeah. Hofstra. Is that where you're taking Raven?
Yeah, probably. Honestly.
You get some nachos?
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Maybe a little dog. Maybe a dog review.
I hate to sour the good vibes right now, but the MVP room nachos are no more, correct?
No, I think the nachos will be there. I don't think the meal will be there.
Oh, that's good then. That obviously sucks, but it's still, there's something there.
Right. 64 days until first game.
Nice. Yep. Almost nice. Start the countdown. Go ahead and put it up there. Put it on the board.
Yep. Can be fun.
Before we started off on our tangent, you wanted to talk college football playoff road.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, looking at this tournament, I guess. When you get to March Madness, there's always that saying, survive and advance. And I think it's definitely even more so for the college football. There's no looking ahead really for the college football playoff.
Not for Tennessee. No.
Right. But the first couple of rounds, I guess, in the NCAA tournament, whether you think you are or not, you're kind of looking ahead of what your road is to get to the Final Four or whatever. Just because usually the teams, Tennessee's usually a good seed, so the teams that they're playing, they can hopefully they're just taking it, but like fans are definitely looking at it as, oh, who do we have next? Whereas like I feel like this is it. Like you go play Ohio State, you leave it all out on the field, and then if you got anything left, we'll give that to Oregon.
Yeah, you're right that there's not as much looking ahead. It's also a much smaller bracket. There's also 4 bye teams. Because I think part of the fun of March Madness is you're trying to figure out not only your road, but who will also be on that road.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas obviously, if you win, you play Oregon. Like it's there.
Yeah.
You don't have to guess will Oregon beat so-and-so or does this team have a chance against them. So I think that is part of there's really not much looking ahead, but there's also there is that factor too that you assume that these groupings will be a little bit more competitive, and I think they will be. I know a lot of people are kind of writing on Penn State pretty much in the semifinal just because of their road. I believe what I've believed about Penn State for the majority of the year. Like I think that game will be very competitive in the opening round. If they make it to Boise, that game will be equally competitive. And then I think even like the Notre Dame Indiana, I don't have a lot of faith in Notre Dame, period. But then if they do win, that's not going to be a blowout.
Yeah.
I think the only like blowout potential, and blowout's a strong word, easy win potential is probably Texas over Clemson.
Really?
I think that'll be the closest thing we see to a blowout. I think that's the only offense capable of a blowout.
I mean, I haven't really, I'll be honest, besides that ACC championship, haven't watched a ton of SMU this year. So I'm not.
My belief's more about Penn State than in their offense ability.
Sure.
And then, yes, I haven't either.
Yeah. So I don't really know, like, can they score against a good Penn State defense? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, but what are we looking at then? A 14-0 game?
No, I was thinking maybe, I was going to give Penn State the benefit of the doubt, maybe 24-0. But yeah.
That's blowout. I'll mark that blowout.
Yeah, but in the Big Ten, that's definitely a blowout. So I don't know. I don't know really what to expect from the college football playoff. I know it's going to be different next year, and it's probably going to be different the next year and the next year. And I mean, I think it's going to be an ongoing thing. I think the committee got the teams right, in my opinion.
As right as they could, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think like the structure, I don't know how that was. I think we talked about it with Chase, like that's somebody's job or multiple people's jobs were given this task to like make this structure, and they didn't think this could be the possibility.
Yeah.
Or are they just so concerned with not giving it to the Big Ten and SEC teams?
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I don't know. The auto buys are a disaster. We discussed that too. Which again, who in their right mind would have thought, who in their right mind would think Boise State, were they the 9 seed or ninth ranked team? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
The 9th ranked, and then the 16th ranked, or no, that was Clemson was 16. Arizona State was 11. They're the 11th ranked team.
Yeah, something like that.
Who would have thought that they would be your conference champions? And that's a fair thought to have. But I mean, it was always possible. So why are we like you just mentioned? Why was that not thought about? And we're giving those teams the bye week. The structure just isn't great, and it goes in the structure in general. And again, I still think you got a combination, and this isn't necessarily true for every team, but throughout the 12 teams, you got a combination of the best 12 teams in college football and the most deserving 12 teams in college football. I think you got that combination. I think Clemson deserves a shot for going and winning their conference. Did they have to have help to get there? Sure. But they were given the opportunity to win their conference, and they did it. And I hate Dabo Swinney, but they did. So I think they should get a shot in the playoff. And maybe in a better constructed college football, they never get that opportunity in a season like this. But at some point, you got to play the hand you're dealt, right?
Yeah.
So what is the committee to do in that scenario? But if Boise State had lost, Clemson would probably have a bye, which is nuts. They don't deserve a bye.
Well, if SMU wins, then it's Alabama and Texas are playing one another, and SMU has a bye.
Yep.
And then Boise State is probably playing. Who are they? They're probably
Boise
playing Notre
State.
Dame.
Probably. I think they finished higher because of the way the losses happened there at the end. So yeah, probably Notre Dame.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you could have foreseen this happening, but the auto buy stuff, you had to.
You should have.
No,
like
right.
you said.
Yeah, you had look at the section of 3 teams. Look at each section. I mean, there is a glaring top pod in that. And it's Tennessee, Ohio State, and Oregon, and it's not even close.
And Oregon's the one. This isn't a Tennessee got shafted comment. That's an Oregon got shafted comment.
Oh yeah, 100%.
If they were going to do it this way, they should have let the 1 seed. They should have laid out the field and said, "All right, number 1 seed, you get to choose where you go." That's what should have happened if they were going to do it this way.
Well, Clemson sneaks in and they get to play a Texas team who just lost, and then if they win, they play Arizona State. What sense does that make?
And what sense does it make for Texas? Texas got rewarded for losing the SEC. Talk about teams getting rewarded for losing. Texas got rewarded.
Oh yeah, so did Penn State.
I think Penn State got rewarded in the sense of they get to keep their fraudulent ranking. I think I'd rather be Texas. You know how we talked about that Cinderella feel?
Mm-hmm.
SMU, this is their first year in power football. They wouldn't be in the playoff without being in the ACC and then also coming in second in the ACC. Presumably, I mean, maybe they have a Boise State-like year, but we know we have Boise State. I don't know if I want anything to do with Boise State right now. Their only loss is to 3 points, 6 points to Oregon.
I think, was it 1? Maybe it was 3. It was close.
It was close. Whatever it was, I'm going to look right now. I don't know. That's a team when you talk about magic back against the wall. They're not necessarily thought of as the worst team in this playoff. They lost by 3. But if they play Penn State, they're going to be underdogs. And all the talk is going to be, can Boise State do it? They're bad. I don't know if I want a team like Boise State who's really talented with the best running back in the country, the best player in college football, in my opinion. Snaps is not a stat.
Yeah.
Like the Oregon Duck said.
I don't know. Arizona State is kind of intriguing to me. I think they're kind of dangerous. I don't know. We haven't really seen Boise State play anybody since Oregon, so I don't exactly know.
You're not wrong.
They took care of business, and that's what they had to do to get. Now, should they have a bye? Absolutely not.
No, you're not a Power 5 team. You shouldn't have a bye.
But I mean, Clemson just beat SMU, and SMU gets Penn State, which is a lower ranking than Texas. Texas gets the winner of the ACC and Clemson. I think that's kind of crazy to me.
Sure. Yeah. Man, I don't know who's.
And
I don't know who's. I don't know what easier because you're right that Arizona State has been, and part of it is
one of the hottest teams in college football.
Yeah, and part of the reason they've kind of been able to go about it quietly is the Big 12's been such a mess that there was no clear front runner. But they also haven't, other than Iowa State in the Big 12 championship, they haven't just handled anybody in that run. And I think so the combination of the Big 12 being a mess and them not really truly handling anybody, I think they've been able to quietly go about it. So I don't know. I would take Texas in that matchup, but I don't think you're wrong. Arizona State's not a team I would want to play.
Yeah. But also, like, if Carson Beck isn't playing, what does Georgia look like?
What
I think
is
they're still
officially his diagnosis, and how long is he
I thought a
officially out
UCL,
for?
which I thought is that not what Brock Purdy had in the NFC Championship a few years ago? Where he just couldn't throw? I thought that was what it was.
We've only seen him hand the ball off.
Because if he can't go, Gunnar Stockton looked okay against Texas, but he had some moments where he did not look good. Also, he got his
bell rung,
shit rocked. So, is he even alive? I don't know. Have we even seen him off the field?
Have we seen him? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm interested to see kind of how it plays out. Obviously, like, our eyes are going to be on Tennessee and their road, but I think just as a college football fan, like, it is going to be. I think it's going to be entertaining.
I think it'll be a fun playoff, and we get one Friday night. I didn't realize that until the schedules came out. I think that rocks. Great call there in the scheduling.
Who is the Friday night? Is that
Notre Dame and Indiana?
Okay.
Penn State plays at noon, and Landon, we all know there's no better place in the world than Happy Valley at noon. So James Franklin got his wish.
Sure.
That's one thing I think hasn't been talked about enough is I don't know if Ohio State fans are going to know what to do with themselves. When's the last time they played a prominent home game at night? I need an Ohio State fan to chime in. I feel like every time I see them on TV, they're playing in the sun, in the light at noon.
Yeah, they don't
high noon.
They don't play at night. None of the big 10 teams do.
Right.
Michigan doesn't. Penn State doesn't that I know of. Ohio State doesn't. It's weird. And we kind of mentioned on the Chase Thomas podcast, I think, all the pressure's on Ohio State in this one. Because, like, there is an aspect where, like, yes, I want to go win a national championship, but also I am, like, ecstatic that we're in the playoff. Like, that's your goal. Now, Ohio State, they lost to Michigan. They didn't win the Big Ten championship. Their goals have not been met. Their expectations haven't been met. They have to go win a national championship for the seat to cool down on Ryan Day.
Yeah, I think for a lot of reasons, this one's more. I think Tennessee does get to play a little looser in this because it does feel like not only a win or go home for their season, it feels like a win or go find another home for Ryan Day. And maybe that's a bad thing for Tennessee. Maybe that team rallies for him. Would have been nice for Ryan Day if they had rallied a week or 2 weeks ago for that Michigan game.
Yeah.
It's I don't know where I stand on the like how Ohio State's going to be coming into this game. Are they going to feel that pressure, which is crazy for a playoff team to feel that? So are they going to? I still think, I mentioned this, I think in that stadium, it would be better for Ohio State to play on that road because they're going to feel every negative play from the crowd. They're going to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think it's going to be advantageous for Tennessee. It's an away game, but I think that's going to really be tough to hear that every single time. It's not going to be late in the game when things aren't going well. The first negative play, you're going to hear jeers.
What happens if Tennessee jumps out 10-0 like they did at Georgia? Does this team? Oh God! Those fans start leaving.
We need them to fold because.
Yeah, we know how that happens. But yeah, that's going to be something to keep an eye on because it is. The fan base isn't happy. number one. I mean, you have a Barstool guy like preaching, like, please buy tickets. You have a congressman, don't sell them to Tennessee fans.
Is that the same guy that submitted that bill? Is it that same one?
Probably. I mean, and that's another thing. That's kind of bad luck to go ahead and make it illegal, make it a felony to plant a flag in Ohio before like a playoff game. That just seems like, that when somebody tells you not to do something, it makes you want to do it even more. I mean,
right. Is it a felony for Ohio State players to plant a flag on the O now?
I don't know. I don't know how that works.
Huh.
I know one thing. I'd probably rather just like be arrested than get pepper sprayed. So that's probably fair.
I think in that case, they're probably going to just go ahead and do both. Because now it's a felony. You're committing a felony. I can pepper spray you. I don't think those cops are like, I'd rather arrest you. I think they would much rather pepper spray you. If you're that quick to the pepper spray, you wanted to do it.
Yeah. I mean, Tennessee, the university took on the whole NCAA. They aren't scared of Ohio. I'll tell you that right now. It's nothing to us to take over a courtroom.
Right. Ohio State played 3 night games this year. One of them was at home. I don't know if listen. Okay. Well, let me do this before I get into all the trash talk and I say stuff because I'm a Tennessee fan and I want to talk trash. Do people legitimately believe on both sides? Are there Ohio State fans? I just want to know if I just can't catch the trolling. I'm too dumb. Are there Ohio State fans who legitimately believe Neyland is not an elite atmosphere, not a top tier atmosphere? And then on the flip side of the coin, are there really Tennessee fans that believe that Ohio State, this is like new territory for them, like that Ohio Stadium isn't an elite stadium in college football? Is that a real belief?
My argument to people that says Neyland is not, I argue the shoe is not. So I don't believe that. I'm just,
and I think that's the majority of what's going on. But I've also seen people that try to get into the weeds of it too much that I'm like, I think they believe it a little bit. And it's crazy because Ohio State's a premier brand in college football. And you think they play in front of a theater crowd? It's crazy. It's crazy. That is going to be, listen, we talked about it. That's one of the few places we want to go on the road. There's some others that we'd rather not, but that's one of the places we didn't necessarily want to go. And there's a reason.
Yeah.
Now, I still believe what I just said a minute ago. I think it's going to be a different environment where they might score a touchdown one drive. If they get sacked on the next drive, or if Will Howard throws an interception on the next drive, they're going to get booed by their own crowd because they're sick of Ryan Day. So I do think this is going to be a different environment than most teams experience coming into Ohio Stadium. But I think it's going to be just, I think it's going to be crazy. I think it's going to be a great college football environment.
I was told that Tennessee fans should, on every third down that Ohio State doesn't get, or a turnover or whatever, you boo to make it seem like like everybody joins in and they start booing, and it's really Tennessee fans starting that, but it seems like it's because Ohio State. I mean,
I agree.
Most fans, like they see somebody doing something, they chime in no matter what it is.
No matter what.
Gator chomping, Vandy chants. I mean, we've seen it all this year.
That's another flip side of the coin I want to mention. Not only Ohio State fans saying Neyland's not elite, but then Ohio State fans are going, you've never experienced an environment like ours. And you heard me, Landon. I just gave that stadium and that fan base a ton of credit for the environment they create. Tennessee plays in the SEC. What planet do you live on that you think Ohio is above and beyond any SEC program that they've traveled to. I'm sorry, how could you watch that Georgia game and not be like, yeah, that's a scary environment. Like, that's not a fun environment. And you're really going, they've never played in one like this.
Yeah.
This isn't, is it going to be a challenge? Sure. It's not going to be anything different than Georgia on the road, than Florida, Alabama on the road. Then, I mean, when Arkansas wasn't Woo Pig and Suey, it was a pretty good environment.
Mm-hmm.
When they started that stupid chant, things got different. It is asinine to be an Ohio State fan and go, they don't know what it's like. Oklahoma this year, where Tennessee won, they don't know what it's like.
Yeah.
Is Ohio Stadium the number 1 ranking on our friends list? Or did he have someone above him?
I don't know what his ranking is. He don't even know what his ranking is.
What was Tennessee? Maybe top 6 now in the SEC?
Probably not. I don't know. So we do have a bet going on. And this is probably we did this like a month ago before it got to this point. I forget what happens if I win. I know he has to wear like a Tennessee polo.
Don't. I hate those bets because I don't want to see people like that wearing Tennessee orange.
He has to do something else. But if he wins, he said he gets to come on the show for 7 minutes uninterrupted.
This show?
Yeah.
Nah, veto that.
Okay, that's fine.
What? No.
It's funny because when we did this, I was like, yeah, because we're not going to play each other. And then they lost to Michigan.
Hey, if it's not Joey, it's me, and I know Joey's on my side. I run the board. You know what? You know what, Landon? Tell him yes. He won't even know it. We'll just video record it, and no one but us will see it. So tell him
just
yes.
Keep him on mute.
Yeah, tell him yes. He's in. Lock it in.
Okay.
Lock it in. Yeah. All right. I like that bet now. All of a sudden,
Okay.
I'm back.
Okay. You're back.
I don't like the cut of this guy's jib.
Tennessee wins because
Nico. I think I got to group 2 groups into this. Nico and the wide receivers and tight ends put it all together. And I don't mean they just go all world, but I mean they are able to complete passes, number 1.
Yeah.
Make plays after catch. Nico is able to hit receivers where he needs to. He is making the throws that are supposed to be made, whether that means the first read or he's working down and through his reads. And those guys I don't even think they need to make outstanding plays, Landon. I think they just need to make the play that was designed. Like, players need to execute. I think this year, the play calling, while questionable, has been what we've seen from Josh Heupel pretty much throughout his career.
Yeah.
And it's what won a lot of games in 2022. It's what lost some games in 2022. And we loved it then. And I don't think it's been that much different. I think it comes down to execution, and Tennessee's offense has failed to execute at really, really critical times. And that's made it look a lot worse than it necessarily has been. Not that it hadn't been not great at times. I think if the guys if the wide receivers, if the tight ends, if Nico can not make the mistakes, especially in critical areas, but throughout the game, and they can execute on really started at the simple things, because there's times the simple things don't get executed. I think Tennessee looks like a lot different football team. We've seen it when they execute for 80% of the time, and they look a lot different. I think if they can figure it out, whatever it is right now, because I don't know what it is. Let's see us play Oregon.
And I want to talk about Nico for a second, because there's been a lot of games this year where I think it would be really easy for a redshirt freshman quarterback to kind of lose it a little bit, just not be in the moment. I mean, he just seemed to like be so nonchalant about it. Maybe that's just his demeanor, but it like environments haven't really up to this point seemed to bother him.
No, I think he's handled himself well. I think, while I think he's improved, I think he's also played fairly consistently, and I think you could take that however you really want to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean that positively. I think he's certainly improved in some areas, but I also think, like you said, the breakdowns also haven't happened. I think it's been very even kill throughout the season, and in my opinion, that's a positive.
Yeah. And if he goes, like, I mean, he claimed he loves playing on the road. You get that opportunity.
How's the time?
And if you win, you get to go back home about an hour and a half away from Long Beach to Pasadena. So if you want to,
what is that in LA traffic?
Oh God. This is with traffic right now. So I think it's only like 28 miles, but it's an hour and 20 minutes.
Gross.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. You want to go home? Win on the road. That's all you got to do.
You're on the road the rest of the season. So if you didn't mean it, find a way to mean it. Love it.
Yeah.
You need to love it. And I think a lot of, and you asked the question, I want to get your take too on what is it? Tennessee wins because, however you worded it. I think Tennessee's going to get a very consistent game from Dylan Sampson. I think Tennessee's going to get a very consistent game from their defensive line. I think they're going to get a very consistent game from their guys on the outside, Jermon McCoy and Ricky Gibson. Like, I think those things will be there. It's where you really got to fill in the gap. So I think Tennessee's offense and their passing game is very critical. I think the inverse of that, Tennessee's linebackers and how they defend the passing game is very critical. Now, I don't think, we talked about Penn State, I don't think this matchup is as critical. I think Ohio State will try to use the tight end. They'll run shallow stuff over the middle to try to make those linebackers help in coverage. But I think in terms of that draw, you got the better option of the two. Like, I think you got a team that's not going to put a tight end downfield every play and try to pass it to him. So I think that helps, but they've got to be better than they have been in recent weeks. Because they're going to put their athletes across the middle, make it easy on Will Howard at times. Can your linebackers execute is a question.
Yeah, I'm wondering how they're going to play Tennessee's defensive line. Are they going to try to get it out of their hands fast, or they want to try to big chunk play Tennessee? If you're going to get it out fast, I think you got to like march down the field, and I don't know how much Ohio State's been at its best when it's big plays from those wide receivers. But to have those big plays, you got to have time. So I think Tennessee wins because their defensive line dominates. Their defensive line dominates, you win. Because the kind of the kink in the armor for Ohio State is that offensive line. And then when that offensive line gets dominated, that quarterback is super inconsistent and seems to be bothered by pressure, and is susceptible to throwing picks. So I think if Tennessee can, be good up front, I'm talking about, I know their tackles are okay, but those guards have struggled. Can they dominate the line of scrimmage, play in the backfield, and, make Will Howard's life hell? Tennessee wins that ballgame.
Yeah, I think it's a very advantageous week for Tennessee's defensive line. I like the point about the big chunk plays, and that's where Tennessee's been most like they will give them up. And that's when this defense seems to, because that's kind of what's crazy is they haven't given up a ton of big chunk plays that have resulted in touchdowns.
Sure.
But that always seems to be the bend they can't handle. They can take the marching down the field, hold them to a field goal, keep them out of field goal range, force a turnover, whatever it may be. But it's when the big chunk plays happen, they can't seem to bounce back from that. And so That's going to be interesting. So how long can they just dink and dunk it over the middle? Because those plays are going to be there. Not that I don't think our linebackers couldn't play better, but regardless, this Tennessee defense is going to allow you to throw it there and try to make a play, regardless of how much better the linebackers are playing. So yeah, can they do that for 60 minutes and beat Tennessee? I'm interested to see. I think it's a good time for James Pierce Jr. to cement himself as one of the best defenders in college football.
Yeah. Can Tennessee, like, that's, switching over to the offense for me a little bit, can Tennessee have some of those big chunk plays? Because, we're talking about kind of Ohio State's offense. They've been a little inconsistent at times, but that defense has played really well all year long. Like that, they're good at linebacker. They're good at defensive line. They're good off the edge. They got good DBs, Caleb Downs. Just a number of – they're just a talented football team. When you compare rosters throughout everybody in the college football playoff, Ohio State is they're probably number one.
Yeah, and that's another thing that confounds me about some of the trash talk. I'm like, Ohio State's not a Big Ten team that we should make fun of.
Yeah.
The only reason we should make fun of them is for the point you just made. They have all the talent and none of the trophy case of the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
They've had the talent to play in the 14 playoff plenty of times. They had the talent to beat Georgia just 2 years ago, and couldn't finish. So, yeah,
yeah, I love that. Like they want to, get with like, oh, y'all haven't won in, a century. We're sitting here like it's almost been a decade before they've won anything.
It's getting up there.
And even then, I think they had an argument where they shouldn't even been in the playoff. They were the 4 seed.
Oh, yeah. That year. When they didn't get to it's crazy that worked out for them to be in it. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think another guy we talked about with Chase Thomas, Boo Carter. If he has a good game, I think Tennessee wins. Kind of like you mentioned with the linebackers, just that stuff over the middle. I think Ohio State has, they have one of the best backfields in the country. They also have one of the best wide receiver corps in the country.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Ricky Gibson, Jermod McCoy, those guys are good and going to be, probably left out on the island at times. They're probably going to give up some because, again, those are really good receivers. They're going to make plays. But can you kind of, on third down, can you get off the field because, Boo Carter's breaking up a pass over the middle? Or Arion Carter or whoever, a safety, Brooks, Andre Turrentine. That's what I'm interested in seeing. You got Carnell Tate, Mbuka, you got Jeremiah Smith. Dogs.
Mm-hmm.
Can they get off the field on third down and kind of stop them over the middle? Because I think that's where Georgia just made their way with Tennessee. Is on third down, utilizing that tight end or a slot receiver and just pick up a third down and keep moving the chains. And until it turned into a big play. And so I think Boo Carter, that's somebody like if he's able to get like a pick, some pass breakups, also on special teams, like that's a weapon that you're probably going to need in this game to kind of flip the field and put your offense in a good spot to go score some points.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if Boo Carter can be not impactful just defensively.
Will they kick it to him?
True, that as well. And something you were saying about turnovers, I think that's a big one too. Is can Tennessee create turnovers, whether that be turnovers on downs? Can you get a lucky break and fumble and recover said fumble? Can you make the play and if you get the chance to make an interception and complete it? And I think this is true of both teams. I'm not exclusively putting this on Tennessee. You do need the ball to bounce your way. And so you've got to have those things happen. Then you got to take advantage of when those things happen. The offense, if the defense is able to put you in opportunistic field opportunities, you've got to go score. You got to put points on the board. But I do think it takes the ball bouncing your way some, and I think a little bit of that is making the breaks. You've got to that's a Nealon maxim: play forward and make the breaks. So I think you also have to be in those areas and just kind of hope the ball bounces your way. And I think going into kind of playing for those breaks, it's also you've got to be. I don't see it flipping now, Landon, but somehow, some way, you have to find a way to play the most disciplined version of yourself. I love James Pierce Jr. I think he's gotten screwed with some offsides calls this year, but like James Pierce Jr. has to get lined up better, where it's not easy to call an offsides penalty on him. Same for other guys on that defensive line. Your tackles, who are primarily the ones who false start, have to not do that. Your offensive line has to not get down the field before the ball is thrown. Like, there has to be these things that have repeatedly happened throughout the season over and over and over again. You have to find a way to not commit those penalties. I would love to say period, but at least not often.
Yeah. Agreed.
Play for and make the breaks. But give the chance, give the football gods the opportunity to hand you part of this game.
Yeah, can we just play clean? Can we just not have dumb penalties, like you said, just getting lined up or, a stupid 15-yard personal foul?
We've had some illegal formations this year that have brought back first downs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There have been some frustrating ones this year.
The pre-snap ones are just...
Yes. The pre-snap offensive penalties are the most frustrating. The offsides ones that are because we don't know where the heck the neutral zones is infuriating.
Yep.
Infuriating. How is Ohio State what do their penalties look like?
God, hopefully a lot. I don't know.
Something I didn't know until I was just looking up some Ohio State stuff. Luke Fickell was the interim before Urban Meyer in 2011.
That's who I thought they would give the job to if Ryan Day gets fired. But
I knew he had like the history there. I didn't realize he was the interim though. Between Tressel and Meyer.
I think
news to me.
He interviewed for the West Virginia job. I don't think he got it, but
no, it was
for
it. Rich Rod's going back.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Love that. I don't even know all the college football changes, but you also have, and we don't need to talk about it right now, I guess, but Bill Belichick going to UNC.
Yeah, what in the world? I mean, the age difference between Bill Belichick and God, what's his name? Mac Brown. It's like a year.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I would not. Okay. Bill Belichick looks a lot better than Mac Brown. But Mac Brown's also looked old his entire life. That white hair, he's got an oldness about him.
Let's see the age difference. Mac Brown is 73. Bill Belichick is 72. I mean, what? Is he just trying to be fired? He's like, man, I see how much money those guys are making. I need to be a fired football coach in college football.
Do you know how Tennessee ranks penalties per game in the country?
Oh, is it bad? It has to be bad.
Out of 134 teams, they are 131st. In the bad way.
Yikes.
I didn't realize we were penalized 13 times against Vanderbilt. That's nuts.
There's a lot of bad calls in that. There's a couple.
On the other side, Ohio State ranks 9th.
Come on, guys.
Be smarter. We got to be smarter. Do you think surely in this 3-week stretch, Josh Heupel is also going to practice at night?
You would think.
I just feel like we got to change something up. And
I
this
think
isn't
he
a
was
like
getting ready for Happy Valley at noon.
I'm not of this like I think there is. I don't think it's dire that we practice at night. We practice, whatever. Like I don't think it's dire. But when you have 3 weeks prepared, class schedules are about to be a moot point, or they are now, right? Was it this past week?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they're done.
So
they should be.
Like
maybe
all
makeups,
these,
but those guys should be done.
You have all these things kind of working for you. You have the whole, like, I don't know, maybe 2 practices at night. They can even be this week in the cold because apparently it's a frozen tundra up there. We're playing in Lambeau.
Yeah, pretty much. It's literally going to be colder here than it is there when I think Tennessee leaves.
Oh, okay. That'd be hilarious if it was during the game. Yeah, I don't think it's a huge deal. Like if I'm looking at like, okay, Alabama gets a night game, I'm not, practice at night that week. But in a 3-week stretch, just seems like you should at least one time. Like, hey, let's get the guys out here moving and start at 8 p.m.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
At least one time.
I don't know if they're getting ready for the cold. It is freezing in the morning.
No, yeah, I mean that you're gonna get that feel for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that Barstool guy was like, yeah, they posted like it was hard, but they're scared of the cold or something. I mean, there was literally like, number one, we practiced in the morning. It's freezing, and there was snow on the ground.
It was snowing on Tuesday morning.
Yeah. There was snow literally sticking to the ground.
Do you think they were outside? Were we outside Tuesday? Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was he mentioned something like the high was 55, and the high was 55, but Tennessee prices like 8 a.m.
I'm curious now what the Columbus high and low.
It's probably like a high of like 40, low of 26. It's probably comparable to what it is right now here.
I don't know what our high and low is. Let's just so Friday, tomorrow their low is 22, their high is 34. We're 29 and 49. Saturday, we're 29 and 55. They're 39 and 45. Sunday, we're 40 and 53. They're 45 and 46.
Next Saturday, I mean, this is an app that isn't super. It's just like the one
that
is
supposed to be 17 degrees is the low, which I got to imagine 8 p.m. is the low. It's supposed to be 24 in Knoxville, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll give people credit because I'm not going to pretend to be dumb. I'm just kidding. I am dumb. That's a harsh 7-degree difference.
Yeah.
But it's also not world-beating difference. It sucks to be out in, sure. But
yeah, lather yourself up with Vaseline, keep you warm. Let's get after it. Put the ball down. Let's play. That's the thing. Like, I'm done. Like, yeah, Tennessee should have got a home game. The structure sucks. But I'm just ready to go play now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this bye week is a little nice because it feels like, I don't know. Would I rather just get it over with this week? Like start playing rather than sit on it for a week? But it feels nice to kind of let this week play out, and I'm not worried about the game yet. I'm not nervous about the game yet. I've just been able to kind of take it in.
I mean, I don't know if I want this or not. I definitely don't really want to have a bye where you have to basically just sit and not play for like a month.
Yeah, I like this schedule better for the playoff as a overall product. I think it's going to be better for teams.
Yeah, I agree.
You know me, I don't hate the transfer portal. I hate some aspects of it, but I don't hate it as a whole. I don't like that players they have to enter the transfer portal before their season's over.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I'm sure I'm sure there's some guys that will gladly leave this team early and part ways, but I'm sure there's some that would rather hang around in a postseason like this. But it's going to be hard to find a landing spot if you don't go now.
Yeah, I think there's players that I think they would be allowed to play in the playoff game. I think Tennessee would rather. I mean, some of those wide receivers, I think they would rather some of those guys, hey, we'd love for you to continue. I think that's a difficult decision to make, though. But me is like Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith, you weren't going to have any kind of role in this team until Keenan Peely got hurt. He got hurt, and you've kind of been thrown in, and now we kind of need you as a depth piece. I think it would be – I can't imagine it being like terrible terms with Tennessee. So I don't understand guys not playing if they're given the opportunity to play.
Right.
And why would you not want to? You get to play in the playoff.
I'm sure they're –
Is that not going to help, like, eyes being on you?
I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of guys who would rather, but if you haven't played at all this year or played much and you don't put your name in now, are you gonna be able to – is there going to be a spot for you?
Yeah, it's just kind of a tough situation. Again, the structure of college football sucks. The teams that get shafted out of the portal right now are the playoff teams. They're losing guys, and teams aren't really worried about or too worried about hosting a ton of visits. And
I do think, though, if you're one of those 12 teams, if there's a guy you're interested in, he's going to talk to you or he's going to wait. I think it's like Tennessee baseball.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I don't disagree. I'm sure
but if it's between you and Alabama's not in the playoffs, so they're able to just kind of host guys and not really worry about travel and this and that. I don't know. I think it's a difficult situation all the way around.
I agree. I think there are negatives and positives for Tennessee's situation. I don't disagree.
I mean, just wait till after the season to open up the transfer portal. I mean, what are we really doing?
Right. It should. Well, and the problem is the structure of college and college football is it requires players to be enrolled, and the January semester starts before then.
Yeah.
Before the season ends. But I agree that it's stupid. There should just be exceptions, but that's too easy, apparently. Nah,
yeah.
Whatever.
I'll kind of go through these transfers. You said you didn't know.
Yeah, I'm excited. Or not excited, it's not the right word. I'm interested.
Yeah, to see who it is.
Yeah, Seahawks.
So a couple guys entered today. Wide receiver Nathan Laycock.
Yep, saw that one.
And then Nate Spillman, wide receiver, also entered the portal. So I think that's 4 wide receivers. You have Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, Nathan Laycock, and Nate Spillman. You have Ryan Dameron, who is a quarterback. Jordan Matthews, cornerback. Jalen Smith, linebacker. Vyson Lang, offensive lineman, and Khalifa Keith, running back.
They all make sense as of right now.
And when you look at it, you're like, oh man, we're losing quite a bit. I mean, none of those guys I think are a huge loss at all. I mean, I think the only one that's like a difficult loss for Tennessee right now is Jalen Smith, and that's just because you had an injury and you kind of need one of those. You need him to go. I mean, maybe if Squirrel White isn't able to go, I think Chaz Nimrod's probably a big loss, just depth-wise.
Right. I think there are some – I don't think there's any, like, back-breaking ones where you're like, that just doesn't make sense.
But I'm not shocked any of those guys are not going to be on Tennessee's roster next year.
there are guys I would like to keep, but I understand why they would transfer. I think it's entirely a decision for them to play more.
Yeah.
And that's fair.
I mean, like all these guys have been passed, or the guys that they came in with at that same position are ahead of them. Nathan
Right.
Laycock, I mean, Mike Matthews is playing. He's surpassed him. You have Chris Brasley, who they brought in. He's playing. So I mean, it just wasn't working out. Chaz Nimrod, kind of the same thing. Squirrel White is playing the slot. He was playing slot. Mike Matthews is playing a lot more than Chaz Nimrod. Nimrod had some moments, I think, while he was at Tennessee, but he also had a lot of drops. And it just didn't work out here. Jordan Matthews, you have Jermod McCoy, you have Ricky Gibson. He wasn't in that starting rotation. I think Tennessee's third corner is Jalen McMurray. It's not even him.
Right.
So get that one. Jalen Smith, Aaron Carter, and Jeremiah Thielander are the same age, and they're ahead of him.
Yep.
Bison Lang, I think he had every opportunity to be Tennessee's center next year and didn't take advantage of it. And I think he's been surpassed by a couple of guys on Tennessee's roster, including William Satterwhite, who is younger than him. Khalifa Keith, you get the breakout from Deshaun Bishop. Peyton Lewis is playing. I mean, he just got passed up, recruited over. It happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't think there's any – I mean, you're going to have this every single year just with the portal. Now, if you're losing some of your best players, I think that's going to be eye-opening, and there's probably been rumbles about different players. And we'll see kind of what happens, but there's no one from this list currently that I'm like, oh, man, that is a huge loss for Tennessee next year.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, look at Arkansas beat Tennessee, and they have 26 guys enter the portal. That's another good thing about Josh Heupel. The culture it just seems to be like something people want to stick out and see if they can. I don't think the fact that Caleb Webb and Nathan Laycock were here for 2 or 3 years. I mean, they haven't been a factor at all, and they were still here for that amount of years. I think that says a lot about your coaches and your culture around your program to have even guys that are never going to make an impact stick around for that long in this day and age.
Yeah, it's a different era for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
What are some positions you think Tennessee needs to kind of highlight in the transfer portal? Have you even thought about that?
Not too hard. I mean, I think there's some from the season that stick out to me. I think it would be good for Tennessee, and I don't know who all's in the portal as of right now. I haven't looked across the country, but if you can find, and I don't think it has to be necessarily, it needs to be someone who's definitely adequate at starting. You're not trying to necessarily just add depth pieces, whether they end up being a guy that's 2-man or something. I think adding another veteran presence at linebacker in what looks like a group that's just, and a lot of it's due to injury, so it may not look that way next year, but I think that would be a huge pickup for Tennessee. And I got to imagine they're going to have the opportunity. I think when you look at the secondary, let's stay on defense for a second. I really don't. I mean, it's really just at the safety position. I think you need to add pieces. I mean, corner, you're set.
Yeah.
I guess if you can get someone better, but you're set. I think flipping to the offensive side of the ball, if you can get better at offensive line at any position, you need to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think an interior offensive lineman is something that you need. I mean, Lance Hurd's going to be back. You think David Sanders is probably going to be on that right side as soon as he steps on campus, or you would hope, with the caliber player he is. But yeah, I think losing guys that have kind of been staples with Spraggins and Cooper and even Andre Gurrick has played a lot. Jackson Lampley, like those guys are going to be missed, and they're not flashy players out of the portal, but I think it's going to be huge for the third year Nico's been in this program to have guys that can protect him, because there's been some issues along that offensive line, mostly at tackles throughout the year. I think the tackle position has gotten better as we've went on. So want to see kind of what they can add in the portal there. And I don't know what you do at wide receiver. I mean, obviously you've lost a lot.
I think that is one where you just go and you recruit some dudes. You don't need it. I think that's not the right way to say it either. You could use it. So, I mean, why don't you just tell all these guys, you're welcome here. Come make it happen. I mean, go a little farther north. Tell Barryon Brown and Dane Key, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to win a Tennessee-Kentucky game? Wouldn't that be fun for you? KC Concepcion, who I think is A&M. Is that where he's trending still? I know it was at one point.
I mean, he's going to get a bag wherever he goes. So
yeah,
that's another thing. Like, how much are you willing to pay for a guy that? I mean, yeah, you want a dude, but you also do you have trust in the guys that you have? If you don't, then yeah, you throw a bag at somebody. If you do have trust in those guys, then yeah, you probably don't want to spend a whole lot on a wide receiver that may or may not work out. But the thing is, Tennessee has done well in the portal at receiver. I mean, Chris Brazzell wasn't what we thought he was, but he hasn't been bad. He's played. He's made an impact. Dante Thornton has been probably Tennessee's best receiver so far this year. I know he wasn't great his first year here, but I mean, Brew McCoy was another guy that you've landed in the portal. So I think they've done well in the portal, but do you like next year Mike Matthews and Braylon Staley, Squirrel White being healthy, Chris Brazzell back? Because you don't play a lot of guys at that position, even though we said you have a ton of depth there. I mean, not a lot of guys have played, or they played because of injuries and things like that. Not really because you're rotating so much.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
What about running back? Is that something that you?
I think you have to. I think you have to go out and try to find a running back, right?
I would think so too, but I mean, are you okay with the production of Deshaun Bishop and Peyton Lewis? Like, yeah, you like those guys, but you also had Dylan Sampson to just be the dude. Like, can you see them matching that production? I don't know.
I don't know either, and I like both of them. I've not.
Does Cam Seldon leave? Maybe that's something. Is he going to be here? If not, then yeah, you probably have to go get somebody. But
I think that's probably similar to wide receiver. Maybe you're not throwing bags around, but you're certainly you're putting out offers. You're talking to people.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not one of just desperate need. Whereas like offensive line, I think you go and identify who the best guys you can get, and you find ways to get them here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the offensive line, I mean, there's no one who has that job that you're like next year with running back. Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop are your two lead backs. Next year, I mean, who the heck knows is going to be what your interior line is going to look like.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you have to go get a guy because you don't have – I mean, you haven't played a lot of guys there at all this year to really know who you have.
No, absolutely.
So add some depth and see who wins a job, I guess, is all you can do there.
Sure.
I think corner you're set, so that's good. Star you're set. Tight end, I feel like you're set.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good spot for Tennessee to be in where you're filling gaps. You're not filling your roster. You're filling gaps.
And who knows what can happen. I mean, Miles Kitselman was a nobody, and he's been Tennessee's best tight end this year.
Right. Yeah.
All right, let's get a little basketball.
Let's talk some basketball. We've got a
Were you worried about Madison Square Garden?
yeah, absolutely. If you weren't, you're getting too comfortable for my liking.
I did bet a little bit money on Miami because it was plus 1,200. I was like, I
Yeah.
know those balls.
Oh, you have to. You have to. Tennessee took care of business. I mean, 14-0 run to end the first half.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yep.
Almost 8 minutes of basketball that Miami didn't score. That's insane.
Yeah. Pretty good for number one team.
Obviously, Miami's able to kind of start chipping away in the second half. They don't let it get out of hand, and it looks close. I mean, until was it a Gainey late three that we really started to kind of stretch it out there at the end?
There was a Chaz Lanier
6 points.
There was a Chaz Lanier 3 where he just
that was it. And it was a great play by Igor. We dump it in low. Igor had a good look at the basket, but would have been challenged. But he finds Lanier in the corner, and that stretches it from an 8-point game to an 11-point game, and that you felt fine. That one dude for Miami, oh gosh, the guy they brought in and just hit like 3 straight threes, made you sweat a little bit, but then that really sealed it. I think Chaz Lanier scored 3 straight possessions. No, because he missed a 3 in there. But so 3 of 4 possessions, I think. And just he was really able to fight off the dogs there in the end.
He's fun to watch. I mean, it just seems effortless for him to score 22 points. Like, it was a quiet 22. I think Igor's the same way. When I look at his stats, I'm like, oh, he had 16 and 9. It didn't feel like he dominated the game, but he just goes out there and produces. I don't know. It just kind of seems effortless for Tennessee right now. I'm not saying like that's how it's going to be the entire season, but they're playing well together. Everything seems to work. I do think there was a little bit in that late second half where Miami started coming back a little bit. I'm like, okay, like this would be nice to like rotate guys, but you only have 8 scholarship players right now. So I do think like, especially in SEC play, like they're going to have to get a Cam Carr back. To at least give some of these guards and even like the forwards a little bit of rest.
Yeah, and we talked about this a little bit on voluntary reactions. If this was like late February and you had it whittled down to a strong 7-man rotation, and I think the 7-man rotation that they had was good. Like that's a good 7-man, but you don't want to go through an SEC grind with just 7 men in the rotation.
Not at all.
So that's going to be interesting going forward. Obviously, after this Illinois game too, you get time to rotate some guys in at least. Like Zakai shouldn't be after this game. Zakai shouldn't be playing 38 minutes a game.
Right. And getting 17 points from your bench, like that's been huge. Like Cade Phillips has answered the call. When JP went down, you're like, oh crap, that's a lot of production. But I mean, Cade Phillips has played great. And I'm not sure like what that rotation would be if JP was here. Would Cade Phillips still have maybe not as much opportunities, but would he still get minutes over JP? I don't know.
I think obviously we don't know if he produces like this in the missing of or if JP's still in there. But it did seem like that we thought JP Estrella was ahead of Cade Phillips like pretty soundly.
Mm-hmm.
And I when they played, I thought it was neck and neck, if not Cade, just a hair in front.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he, at this point, especially, I don't know if he would have quite surpassed him yet, but I think we would have seen Cade Phillips fill in the minute sheet more than JP by the end of season.
Yeah,
he's been impressive.
Yeah, he gets up and down the floor, and this team is fun to watch in transition too.
Yeah, that little outlet to Igor, oop to Cade, that was fun.
And I think
Cade did go baby giraffe when he landed, but
was it a block from Jemai?
I can't remember how the outlet occurred now off the top of my head. Maybe that might have been it.
So, and you know who's had a huge jump from last year to this year? Jordan Gainey.
I've said it about him and Meshack multiple times. I'm going to reiterate it. They both brought a lot of positives to the court last year. They just had some holes in their game that severely limited what they were able to do within the team. Not so much Jemiah. It didn't severely limit him, but it did Jordan Gainey. They filled those holes in their game.
Yeah.
They are excellent pieces to this Tennessee team. Jemiah, we knew he was going to be a starter and he was going to play a lot of minutes, but I think those minutes become so much more impactful when he's able to do what he's done on the offensive floor in terms of he's able to not only possess but control the ball. He's able to get to the rim, pretty fearlessly, which we knew he could do, but it was a matter of, we knew he wanted to do, I should say. It was a matter of, can he do it? Now he can put the ball on the floor and go past someone. Jordan Gainey's just drastically improved his defensive game, and I thought he was a good defensive player last year. I just thought he could get into some matchup nightmares. I think he's not that he can defend all five by any means, but I think he can defend more now. I think he's also more than just a guy who wants to sit on the arc. He's not just a catch and shoot guy. He can play the offense in its entirety. And that also opens up a lot more for Chaz Lanier when they're on the court together.
Yeah. I don't know if it was like Jordan Gainey was such a good three-point shooter his freshman year at USC Upstate. Whereas, like, I don't know if it was engraved in his mind as like, okay, you can only shoot threes. But he's being so – I don't know if it's more selective or just like he's just he's shooting the same amount of three-pointers that he did last year, but his averages went from 29.1 to 37.5.
Yeah.
And again, like it's early and he hasn't been in SEC play, but that is a drastic field goal percentage, 35.9% to 50%.
Yeah, it's a nice jump. I think too, I think you're right that it's a little bit more selective. I also think he's getting more minutes, so there's probably not that pressure of when I'm in the game, I have to take these three-pointers. I have to shoot these. So I think there is probably a more methodical approach to how he's shooting. He gets to be more selective. He also gets to be more selective because he can now put the ball on the floor and move. Whereas like last year, I don't know if he couldn't, but he didn't.
Yeah, I don't know. Like last year, it seemed like you're in the game to take the lid off the basket is what it seemed like, and he just wasn't able to do so.
No, sometimes
it was
built
kind
the lid stronger.
It was infuriating to fans, but now it's like, hey, when you're in, like, go make plays.
Yep.
Get out in transition, get to the free throw line. Hey, you have a really good shooter in Chaz Lanier. Like, if you go drive the basket and kick it, like, guys have to defend that. And so they're not able to help as much on you in the paint.
Right.
Yeah, it just kind of opens up everything. And he's been a great addition this season. And like you said, just really improved his game that, you saw flashes last year of what he could be, but I didn't think he would be like 10 points per game kind of player at all.
No, it's been a very, very unexpected and exciting jump for him. And I'll be honest, I didn't expect Jemiah to be that way either. I thought he'd be improved, but I didn't expect it to be improved as well and in the areas that he's improved in.
Yep, that was fun. So Tennessee plays Illinois on Saturday, correct? What time is that game?
Do you really want to know?
Is it at noon? It's a night game, isn't it?
It's at 5:30.
Dang.
So,
Well, we did. I will give my boy Wes some credit. He did have this wedding where it did not interfere with football season at all, which is crazy.
almost. It was close.
Oh, it was close. I know. That's what I'm like. There's no way he meant to do that.
I was going to say, did he know how close it was?
Well, a few months ago, I looked it up because I was like, dude, if we're in the playoff, like, I mean, what do I do? I know what I do.
If it's a home game, I know what you do. I think
Yeah.
you can
Yeah,
you have some
away
wiggle
game.
room in an away game, but
Sure.
yeah, I hate to tell you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pick literally probably the perfect weekend to have your wedding if you're gonna do it in December.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was close. But yeah, no credit. It did not interfere with football season.
and this is an away basketball game, so
It is an away game. When it was, I thought it was a home game like a few weeks ago, and I gave away my tickets that I didn't have because it's not a home game.
oh really?
Yeah, I thought this was a home game,
Hmm.
and I told my brother he could have them, and I had to break the news to him on like Monday when I looked again. I was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry. Those tickets I gave you, don't even have them because it's an away game.
Dang.
You can show up Thompson Boyd Arena, I guess, but unlikely they will let you in."
Dude, I meant to ask you. I was listening to, I don't know why, it was just like came on Spotify after like I'd finished another podcast, and you were talking about a guy at work coming up to you and talking about Brad returning punts.
Yeah,
Did you tell him that?
Brad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What did he say about returning punts? Because your reaction was like, Brad?
Well, and I knew he played receiver and all that jazz. I knew he was an athlete, but there's an athlete and then there's athletes who return punts, and they're different.
Yeah.
They're different. He just said who was talking. That's all he said to me. And we were in a group text. So I didn't really respond to it. I don't know if this was an actual nickname, but my other brother responded the White Flash. So I don't know if that was a nickname or not for him in high school, but
Okay.
yeah.
Hey.
Not that it's impressive because I'm not fast. I was never fast. In fact, it's impressive in the game of soccer, the impact I had, and I was as slow as I was. But I have heard Brad was the fastest of us.
Okay.
Which I think people thought I was fast because they're dumb, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. I was wondering what he. It would have been really funny if Brad was like, "I'd never returned a punt in my life."
He's like, I mean, I fielded them in practice every once in a while, but
Yeah.
no, yeah, apparently he was. I don't know anything else about it. I know for a while, and you know, I don't what channel was it, WAT or WVLT? They had the Friday night hits, I think is what they called it, where they would recap all the football games on like the 11 o'clock news on Friday night.
Yeah.
And it had an intro. And up until like 2010, and Brad graduated high school in either 99 or 2000. So this was 10 years after. There was a play that was still on that Friday night hits where Brad got hit out of bounds against Maryville, I think. And he got hit so hard that when he went to this isn't in the clip, but it's that hit. He got hit so hard that he went to get up, his face mask got stuck in the fence. He got hit all the way back to the fence at Southwood High School.
Good Lord.
Yeah. So that's I guess that's the inverse of the White Lightning story.
White Flash.
White Flash, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any questions?
I don't think I saw any today.
I didn't
Make
either.
sure.
Who's your favorite random Tennessee running back?
Random? Is this random Marlon Lane? Is that random enough?
Hey, I mean, yeah.
Every time I see a running back wearing 15, I'm immediately like, Marlon Lane.
I think of Carlin Fields and me because that one time we were bowling and him and Tyler Bird were there. And then we ended up getting a picture of somebody through
Airdrop.
Airdrop, yeah. I don't know why. I just think of Carlin Fields and me. And Jeremy Pruitt would talk about him in press conferences and could not say his name. And I thought that was always hilarious. It's not that funny now because Jeremy Pruitt's a jackass, but
Sure, he couldn't pronounce anything, so it's not as funny anymore.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any more just random ones.
Torin Poole was one that a lot of people said.
Poole.
William Howard. Johnny Jones is one. Moose Phillips.
What about because I did the pool thing. Again, don't know how random this is. David Oku.
Yeah, that was on here. LaMarcus Coker.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Bryce Brown's random. He was barely a Tennessee Vol.
I mean, people were like spitting out some of these. I just got no idea. One person said Casey Clausen. I don't know if they. Rajon Neal.
Rajon Neal. Okay.
Tony Thompson. Lennon Creer. That's a random one.
That is a random one.
I mean, I don't know if it's more recent, but I mean, John Kelly he had like one like big year at Tennessee.
Yeah. He has that Gator chomp going for him.
Yep. Sean Bryson.
I do feel like random. I feel like if you were the starter for the whole season, I don't know if that counts as random.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Tim Jordan's a random one.
Yeah.
It's more recent, but it's pretty random.
What was Wes Rucker was obsessed with calling him Buff Hamster or something like that?
Yeah.
He's like, I know Wes Rucker woke up on Saturday mornings like, I hope he carries the football so I can tweet Buff Hamster. Is that what it was?
Something like that. I do remember that now. Aaron Hayden. A lot of people are saying Chuck Webb and Little Man Stewart, and I'm like, everybody knows those people.
Well, that's like Aaron Hayden. I'm like, I don't know if that's random.
Yeah.
I don't think people would know what random means. They saw running back and they're like, I got this.
Devin Young is a random one.
That is random.
Yeah, those. Who was it against Missouri? We were beating them so bad where like a walk-on got in and ran for like 40-something yards and a touchdown.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
We were beating Missouri so bad one year, and there was a walk-on that was running all over them too.
Recently?
It was like a white walk-on. Yeah, it was pretty recently.
Okay, I decided to just go back to see. I put in just Tennessee all-time running backs, and it was a best of, and I was like, I wonder, like, who's on here. Weirdly enough, Marlon Lane's number 30. I wouldn't have guessed that. I'll be honest. I love Marlon Lane, but there's been a lot of good Tennessee running backs.
Yeah.
It was Buff Hamster, by the way, for Tim Jordan.
Did you look it up?
Yeah.
I feel like that could be the only tweet. Well, there's probably tweets of stuff you don't want to see.
I mean, I put in Wes Rucker's name, then Buff.
Oh, okay.
I didn't just start scrolling
Just
through
Buff
Buff
Hamster.
on Twitter. Yeah, I wasn't going there. That's dangerous territory.
Yeah. All right. Let's stupidity.
Stupidity. I've got to own a stupidity here.
It's you?
Yeah. Last night I stopped to get gas at Weigel's. No free ads. If you're a Weigel's Rewards member like myself, I take advantage of Weigel's Rewards often. I just like pay for my gas through Weigel's Rewards. You type in your pump number or you select your gas station. It comes up on location based. Type in your pump number, type in your PIN code. Gas is ready to pump. Do that. Like I said, it's usually location based. So I'm at a gas station in Seymour. I don't look to see which gas station it is. It's usually really good. I've never had this happen before. Select gas pump number 5. Punch in my PIN. Gas pump doesn't register. I was like, that's weird. I was like, I wonder if I entered the wrong pump number. Looked around because there's no one else like in the pump numbers around me. So I looked at number 6, number 7. They weren't ready to start pumping. So I was like, okay, don't know what I did. Maybe I just didn't do the process right. So go back to the main screen, select pump number 5, PIN code, start pumping gas. I'll start thinking later. I'm like, I wonder what I did. I probably punched in number 9 or something and someone got free gas. Whatever. Don't know. Get an email later saying, thank you for your transaction. It went to the Sevierville Weigels. Someone got $40 of free gas on Caleb Mitchell.
Dang.
And I don't even know how to exactly dispute that because I did.
You did. For it.
And I'm not saying I'm a good guy, but I did buy someone's gas. I did do that. I hope it was someone in need. I hope I do genuinely hope this.
Pay it forward.
Maybe I blessed someone. I hope maybe someone went to put $5 in. They got $40 worth. It was either that or dinner for the kids tonight, and maybe they got both. So I'm not here to talk about myself being a good guy. I'm here to talk about myself being an idiot. I just happen to be both. Yeah, that was really.
You're an idiot, and it worked out.
Yeah.
You being a nice guy. Okay.
I thought about calling Weigels, but I was like, I mean, if I'm Weigels, I'm like, you're an idiot. I'm not fixing it.
Well, especially the people at Weigels, they're just like, God dang it, dude.
Yeah. So I just hope whoever got the free gas, I hope they were, deserving of it. I hope I didn't give someone $40 free who was not a nice person. Pay it forward. Pay it forward. They probably don't even know they got it. That's what sucks.
Oh yeah.
It should have popped up transaction courtesy of Caleb Mitchell the moment it happened. Yeah, it's me. That was hurt. That hurt bad. I'm gonna be honest. It hurt.
Mine's a Mark Rick. Did you see him say the R word?
I did not.
On live television?
I did not. What? How? When?
He was talking about technology, and he says, I'm technically R word.
Okay. Yeah. Not that it's
but the bad part is he says he's talking about technology, but if you just clip what he says I'm technically
maybe he is. I don't know.
So yeah, just a bad look.
Yeah.
Mark Rick. He was only 64, so I mean maybe he comes back at some point. Who knows? There's still time.
In 10 years, he will be a head coach again.
Yep. My next one, Mark Gastineau. Have you seen the Brett Favre thing?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Put that dude in a home. What's wrong with him?
Dude. I mean, he had the sack record, then Michael Strahan broke it. But I think Brett Favre kind of gave it to Michael
Have you
Strahan.
seen the play?
Yeah.
And a lot of people say that Brett changed the play, blah, blah, blah. If I'm a quarterback, I'm not taking a hit for Michael Strahan if I don't have to.
Yeah.
I don't know the context of it, but also
to confront a man like, I mean, how long ago was that? 25 years ago?
the Brett Favre Michael Strahan play?
That was probably maybe 15 years ago.
Yeah. Here, I can just look it up. Because I did see all this, but I didn't do the research. So
Okay. But the guy like confronts him at this thing. It was like, I mean, doesn't even shake his hand. Brett Favre like coming to like gonna shake his hand. He's like, "You hurt me. Do you hear me?" And Brett Favre's like, "I hear you."
And it's kind of hard to hear him because
yeah,
just watch the video. Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough look.
I feel like he should have been getting mad at that tackle who just didn't touch him.
But then, like, in the document, there's like a little documentary thing for it. And like all of his former teammates of this guy for the Jets was like, yeah, the guy, like, if it wasn't a quarterback, he wasn't trying to make a tackle. Like, he only wanted to tackle a quarterback.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw people saying that. It looks like there's some documentary on him that they're like, yeah, he just didn't try unless it was a pass play.
Right.
Which kind of rocks. He's like, I have one job.
Yeah. Man. That's a tough look. I mean, Michael Strahan was probably going to do it regardless.
That was the final week of the season. I'm reading the story right now. I don't know if that
was late in the game, I'm pretty sure, but still. Michael Strahan's one of the best of all time. I've never even heard of this guy until now.
Okay. What? Yeah. Why is he so mad about it? So that was in 2001.
Okay, so I was close. It was
it was single season sack record.
Yeah.
Yeah, I misunderstood. Okay. It's just also really weird to get angry about that.
At a memorabilia show.
And it sounds like the crew for this documentary like set Gastineau up to do this.
Yeah, like confront Brett Favre.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we're going to take you to this to do it.
He's like, I'm going to get my sack back. I don't know what that means.
I also don't think that's possible. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I thought he was going to tackle Brett Favre right there, which would have been awesome.
Honestly.
I mean, if we're talking about Brett Favre isn't a great human either. So if he just tackled him, I wouldn't have been mad about it. I'm sure those Southern Miss people wouldn't be mad about it either.
Yeah, also, I'm reading about the NFL sack record. There's a guy with 23 in a single season. He just did it in 1978. They weren't official stats in the NFL until 1982. So this guy's been hanging on to a fraudulent record for 40 years. What the hell is wrong with this guy? There might actually be something neurologically wrong with him the way he talks.
Sack record?
22 and a half?
Yeah.
Yeah, TJ Watt tied it.
Oh, okay. So he wouldn't have had it anyway.
Eventually, by the time he confronted Brett Favre, I do not think he would have had it anyway, unless he also thinks TJ Watts is fraudulent. And
yeah, whoever TJ Watt sacked to get that last one, he's going to confront next.
Jared Allen tied it in 2011. Justin Houston tied it in 2014. Reggie White did it in 12 games in 1987. Whatever. This guy's a crybaby. I don't like Brett Favre, but I'm on Brett Favre's side on this one. Who cares?
Yeah.
Also, listen.
He's like, dude, I'm doing Wrangler.
Brett Favre's a dick. I don't think he would have given Michael Strahan a sack for anything.
Yeah, probably not.
He does take from the poor and give to the rich. Maybe he would have. Maybe he would have. This isn't a stupidity exactly. I just want to talk about this because it rocks.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick is reported to have a 400-page Bible, I guess like a football Bible. They asked him about it. He said, I have no idea where that came from. I don't have a 400-page document. And to think I'd just go handing it out, I mean, come on. And I'm sure he did that. Come on. You know that thing he does?
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people seem to take Bill at his word that he doesn't have a 400-page document. Him saying, and you think I'd just go handing it out, I think he has it. I think he has like I wish he had been like 400 pages. It's 600. Because if Connor Stallions has a 1,000-page manifesto, Bill Belichick has a 1,500-page manifesto.
Yeah.
Like that dude, yes. Big manifesto week too. Apparently the United Healthcare shooter had one. Now Bill Belichick's 400-page manifesto, Bible, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it kind of rocks. I think the stupidity is on people believing just because Bill said he doesn't have one. I think Bill definitely has one. I
saw a rumor that he gave it to North Carolina, and that's what got him the job.
Bill Belichick, no. Also, I'm interested. A lot of people seem to think Bill going to North Carolina is like a done deal, that he's going to do great there.
Yeah.
And I think he has the ability to, but I also think there's so many outside factors to a coach being successful that they can't control, that I don't know if he will be. And I think it's a huge hurdle at North Carolina. A lot of those outside factors that he can't control, they might be too big of a hurdle for him. I think they'll get a lot of talent that they wouldn't normally get. I think they'll win a lot of games they probably shouldn't have, that they're coached well in. But I don't see this as a signed, sealed, delivered North Carolina's going to be good. Unless Tom Brady starts playing quarterback for him, then you can count on it.
Well, here's the thing. It wasn't like Mac Brown was a nobody.
Right. I think people forget that.
That's what's crazy to me. Like
really good Texas teams, including
he's a Hall of Fame coach and couldn't do anything with that program. So maybe there'll be something. I just have a hard time. Like by the time he has a chance to build a program, he's going to be like 75 years old.
If it's true that Steven Belichick is the coach in waiting because of this deal, then that's what getting this job was about, was getting Steven Belichick a head coaching job. Is that his name? The son's name? I think it's Steven.
And I know Bill Belichick's Hall of Famer.
No, I think he has the ability to.
All time.
I think he has the more than most the ability to be a really good coach in North Carolina.
But when he was at his prime at the Patriots, when they had their dynasty going on, these kids that he's recruiting were like 5 years old.
And I think he's right that he does have a really strong recruiting tool of saying, like, I mean, I was the NFL for X amount of years. Like, I know what is needed. I also think he is very.
How many wide receivers are they going to recruit at North Carolina?
0. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, it's just like he always got like the underdog ones.
Yeah.
No 5 stars.
Yeah.
Except one, I guess.
He had
if you're a redneck from West Virginia, we'll take you.
Yeah.
But I think he is either misinformed or he's okay with misinforming people, because I think he has to know. Like, he's like, I'm going to make this like an NFL program. Well, you do understand, as of right now, until they change a lot of things in college football, you're only allowed 20 hours a week with them.
Yeah, whatever that number is.
It's not their full-time job. They have. Is it a workload like a normal like an engineering student or something? No, but like they have to at least show up to class. I mean, it is not the same. You can't make it the same as the NFL. You can do some things to better prepare them and make the structure like it, but like there's limiting factors that it's just not possible to do it with.
Well, it's just funny that he's doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. Everybody else is going to the NFL to get away from the college because it is such a year-round craziness Wild West.
He's a head coach. He can put guys in place to recruit, but he still has to be involved. Like, he's still doing it.
Right. And just dealing with, I mean, yeah, he dealt with Tom Brady, who is like, I mean, super mature and at times, I guess. But like dealing with going from that, like what he had, like Randy Moss and, you know, Teddy Bruschi and Mike Vrabel, to these like 17 to 21-year-olds, like that sounds miserable.
Yeah, again, I don't know if he knows what he's getting himself into. I think it's exciting. I think it's very exciting. I'm pumped to see how it plays out.
It is funny though that Mac Brown retires and here comes a guy and that's a year younger than him.
Yeah, but have you considered Stephen Belichick's coach in waiting? So that's a big up. Big ups.
Big
up
ups.
On the up and up, North Carolina.
Whatever. I mean, you want to make a splash out higher. I guess that was the only way you were going to do it. You weren't going to get some, you know, big time higher in the college ranks. So go get the best coach in the NFL ever, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Props.
Oh yeah. I like it.
My last one is the all SEC team not having Jermon McCoy on the first team. That's crazy.
Yeah, but at least Dylan Sampson got the respect he deserved.
He did. They had to shaft us one way or another. I'm glad they did it. I guess I'm glad they did Jermon McCoy instead of Dylan Sampson.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Awesome. Guys, thank y'all for listening. We'll be back Sunday talking about Tennessee basketball. I'm sure we'll be in the transfer portal, still talking college football playoffs because it's coming. Next week is game week. Looking forward to it. Have a good weekend. We're bringing the boat in, and we out.